What is going on, family? Welcome back to the next episode. Before I get into the specifics of today's video, make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos come out. As always, if you want to get the videos early, make sure that you sign up for my Patreon. Also, when you sign up for my Patreon, there are perks that involve discounts on my web store. Soon there will be blooper reels that'll be coming out that are exclusive to the Patreon. So if you want to see clips of me try to start a video and fail, or get like halfway through what I'm saying and screw up and have to start over, because I like to do these in one take when I can. Well, pretty much I like to do them in one take in general. I'll be throwing those up sometime soon. I'll start that process very, very soon. Anyway, there's a couple other things that you get as perks with the Patreon setup as well. So feel free to hop on that, find a tier that you like, and hook a brother up and join. Anyway, so today's topics are kind of short and sweet, but they are, well, one is simple as far as just something I needed to do that makes me feel better about my situation as a whole with the bus when I start getting mobile. And the other one is kind of a makeshift setup that works for now and works when I'm in a pinch, but is kind of a stopgap until I get the full setup going that I intend on having at a later point in time. Now I'll explain. First and foremost, a couple of days ago, today's Tuesday now, so yeah, Sunday. A couple of days ago, took me longer than I wanted it to, but it is what it is. Most of my projects, I intend on them to be 15 minutes long, and they turn out to be 2 hours long. That's just kind of how life is as of late, and that's just something I'm dealing with and accepting. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. One of the things that I had an issue with that is kind of a default setup, and the way that things kind of are in general when it comes to having a transit bus, is that the engine, the cover, does not lock. It's not like a regular car, truck, or SUV where you have the hood that latches. I happen to have some cars parked next to me, so I was visibly putting my head in the right space when it came to that statement. Anyway, you don't have a hood that has a latch on it that you have to then, go into the vehicle, flip the switch or pull the knob, and then it unlatches so that you can actually open up the motor. The motor is just open. There's a cover to it that lifts up or whatever, but it doesn't have any locking mechanisms to it. So I changed that. The whole concept is simple and straightforward. I just basically got two of the hasp twisting lock setups that you would put like on a regular door. I got two of those because it's a huge door that lifts upward. So I got two of those, put one on each corner at the bottom of the door in and of itself, and it's really just a general deterrent. It's not necessarily going to keep anybody out if they really want to take the time to cut those locks and make a spectacle of themselves trying to break into my engine in order to steal any parts or whatever. Doesn't really matter. It's a process. It now takes effort. I don't really care if it's 5 minutes worth of effort versus 2 seconds worth of effort just to lift the panel up. It's now secured to some degree, so I feel better about that. And if it's been tampered with, I'll be able to tell. So I'll know upon coming to the bus and inspecting that whether or not somebody's, been accessing my engine, and I can, move on from there as far as determining whether or not something's wrong or something's been done. So it's mostly peace of mind for myself, but partially a general deterrent, simple deterrent in order to keep people from screwing with my motor. I don't know if there are parts that are worth taking, stealing, or modifying, but at the same time, it minimizes that possibility. Plus, it keeps them from accessing switches in the motor to be able to access the bus. Depending on the kind of transit bus, they have switches on the motor to do various things. I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but anyway, that was the first thing. it took a little while. Didn't quite go as smooth as I wanted it to, and the way that I decided to do it ended up being rivets, which not necessarily happy 100% with the rivets, but I'll give them an 80% approval rating, 80 to 90% approval rating on how things all played out. Anyway, that's that. Part two of this scenario actually happened today when I finally got the last important part to the puzzle. So, long story incredibly short, I have, and I'll add video and pictures as I'm describing this, like I did with the locks for the engine compartment. I have two. I decided to pick up two units called Flashfish, which they're basically they're similar to like a Jackery or Blue Eddy, all those types of things where it's a quote unquote solar generator, where you can charge it either off the wall or pretty much any DC inputs. So either solar panels or plugging it into a lighter port in a car. I'm still working out the kinks, well, not even kinks, but the intention of having lighter ports that I can actually work with that connect to the motor, so that I can do some generating off of that as well. That's like way in the future. At least at this point, it's way in the future. And I still have a lot of research to figure out how that would be functional on the motor of a transit bus versus, a regular vehicle, because I just need an isolator on the vehicle in order to properly connect to it and running cables, and I'm done. With a transit bus, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a little bit more involved in that, because I don't know how transit motors function at this moment. But that's something that I will learn over the course of this in general process. Anyway, so I have that unit. I have two of those units, and basically what I've been doing as a general test run for the concept of having my entire solar setup said and done eventually, is I've been using that unit while I'm out in the bus, trying to spend more time out in the bus in general, using that unit to charge my cell phone, run fans, pretty much everything, minus running cookware and running my laptop off of it, because it does have two AC outputs actually. It has the AC outputs and DC outputs. It's got USB and then two adapter setups where it's like a 5.5 millimeter connection that comes with each unit comes with one adapter that goes from the 5.5 millimeter to a regular lighter port outlet. So if I wanted to add a couple more USB ports by getting one of those two USB to lighter port adapters, I can use all of that to set that up and then have 5 USB ports versus just 3. Anyway, I've basically been using one unit until the battery dies, and then, which usually takes me a few days, and then taking it into my shop and charging it while I'm using the other unit, and basically it lasts me about 3 days or so, like I mentioned a second ago, and I've been able to kind of rotate those to have a base level of power in the bus. Again, I'm just doing small stuff like charging my cell phone, running some USB fans. The unit that I mentioned in one of my other videos, where it's basically a fan / humidifier, that runs off of USB. It actually has a USB connection that has a wall outlet port, adapter, but I've just been hooking it right to the USB, because using the inverter, like with any other inverter, wastes power. So utilizing as many DC devices as I possibly can has been important to me as far as at least this test run goes. Unfortunately, one of the things I tried was a DC 5 millimeter to a light bulb, and that ended up, the adapters that I ended up buying, which I'm not going to get into specifics of where I bought them from, outside of just saying Amazon. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of Amazon. Anyway, they didn't work. So hopefully I'll be able to find some of those that do work so that I can go that route more frequently than not. Because again, I'd rather use as much DC as I possibly can to avoid wasting energy flipping over to the AC. So yeah, all that said and done, I've been rotating those out. So what I ended up coming up with the idea of trying, because I bought a few 100-watt solar panels for a secondary project that is basically going to be a backup or expansion project for the solar that I'm going to be putting on the roof eventually. I decided to get an adapter because the 100-watt solar panels have the M4 connectors, which is fine. That'll be great for when I get everything else set up the way I needed to get set up. But what I ended up purchasing after I got those was a few MC4 to 5.5 millimeter adapters. Now, what I ended up testing out today was the concept of taking one of those panels, because the Flashfish, I believe, is said to run off of or charge off of a 60-watt solar panel, and they offer 60-watt solar panels to go with it, blah, blah, blah. In comparison, this is a cheaper route, by the way. But I took the 100-watt panel, connected the adapter to the panel, and then plugged the adapter into the Flashfish that I've been using. Well, I just started using it today, so it's still fresh for the most part, but I have been using it for at least 5 or 6 hours, so it's not, at 100% at the moment. The other one's upstairs charging at the moment. But anyway, plugged into the Flashfish, set everything up right outside the bus in a semi-sunny area. There's a little bit of shadow coming off of the bus because of the position of the sun that, as of right now. But it was a test run to see if the concept worked. And, of course, without any issues, it did work. I did further research on this unit, and technically speaking, they can work with 50 watt, 60 watt, and 100 watt solar panels. But it's mostly, I believe, geared towards 60 watt, or the units that they offer that are same brand that work with it are 50 and a 60 watt. They don't have 100 watt options. So I figure it most likely has the hardware in it to dial down the overall amperage coming in so that it doesn't burn itself out from getting 100 watts full tilt if it's a super sunny day and the sun is directly facing the solar panel. But it is what it is. Like I said, I set it up, tested it out, and it actually worked. It actually charged. Unfortunately, I don't know how much it charged because it doesn't. The output, the LCD screen of the unit doesn't really give that kind of detail, or at least I haven't sat and read the manual to figure out if it does give that kind of detail. But at some point in time, I do want to figure out, the specifics about all of that, so I can have a better grasp on average, how long it will take to charge it from dead to full while I'm using the other unit. But the long and short of all of that is between the two units that I have, the two generators, two battery or power stations that I have, I can swap between them and use one while the other one's charging, whether it's being charged in the shop while I'm here, or if it's being charged off of solar when I'm out and about, or just decide to sit out in the parking lot here, do whatever I feel like doing, and have it sitting charging. In any event, it gives me that rollover option that having one unit like the Jackery or Blue Eddy or whatever would not give me. And each one of these units cost me, I believe, $150. So for $300, I have that opportunity to be able to switch between one battery charging and the other battery being used for whatever I need to use it for. And once I find out if using this panel and it being stationary, because I'm not really looking to have a setup that's going to be like tilting with the sun or anything, at least not yet, maybe in the future. Once I figure out how long it will truly take versus, whatever documentation the machine says in its paperwork, because it's supposed to take like 7 hours to charge from dead to full off of solar. But I want to see what realistically I should be expecting. Honestly, I'm going to expect somewhere between 10 and 12 hours, possibly even 14, just because solar may or may not output the same amount honestly, I don't think it would output half of what like a wall charger would be able to put out. Excuse me. So my expectation is that it will take probably 14 hours to go from dead to full, which, depending on the timing I decide to set everything up, could mean roughly a day and a half to 2 days of letting the panel sit in the sun. However, I set that up in order to charge the one that was dead while I'm using the other one. But overall, if I had to put numbers together, which I have to get back to you guys on specific numbers, but I'm just kind of spitballing the numbers that I can kind of remember with everything I purchased. Overall, you're probably looking at about a $500 ish investment for both of the units, a single solar panel, and the adapter. But that's about the cost of the smallest Jackery. And you have that rollover that you wouldn't have per se with the Jackery. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't quite know. Well, actually, no. Specifically involving that, as far as I know, that's just the Jackery without getting any kind of solar paneling or anything like that, regardless of if you get what comes with it as a kit or whatever. I could be wrong. I'm going off of memory from what I've read, probably in the last like month or two, as far as the cost for like the 500, which I think is the smallest one. And because so many people use Jackery, that's the main reason why I'm kind of comparing the two setups to each other, because that's the most popular and most well known. So anyway, I believe that the unit without any solar panels is about $500, give or take. The unit with a solar panel is probably closer to $700 or something like that. I believe their panels have been stated to be fairly expensive, but anyway, for that $500, I'm getting the two smaller units that I can swap around. So I can. Oh, that's what I was thinking about saying. I do not 100% know whether or not you can charge the Jackery while using it. I don't remember if it has pass-through or not. I don't think it does. I feel like the reviews that I've seen on it say that it doesn't. I know these don't. I specifically remember reading that on the packaging that they don't have the pass-through option. So if you're charging it, you can't use it. If you're using it, you can't charge it. Which adds to that swapping concept that I decided to go with, because ultimately, even if for the same price I'm getting a little bit more battery life out of a single unit, if I can't charge it while I'm using it, then that minimizes my general usage of it. So I only get to use it for XYZ amount of time, and then I have to leave it be and let it charge while I'm unable to use it, whether that's like overnight, or while I'm in the shop, or wherever. I lose that opportunity to use it when I feel like using it. So if I decide one day at midnight that I want to come in the bus and work on some stuff, I can't bring that out with me if it's being charged, or if it's charging and I'm letting it run its course. I can't just bring it out here and use it to light up the bus while I'm working on the bus, and charge my phone while I'm playing some music in the background. It's just not an option if I'm letting it just sit and charge. But if I do take it while it's in the midst of a charge, then I can take it, use it, and then put it back on the charger. But then that means the next day, or whatever. It kind of, how am I trying to word this basically? It's less convenient. That's the best way I'm trying to say it. It's less convenient. Whereas with this situation, if I have one upstairs charging and I decide to come out here in the dead of night and do some work on the bus, I can again run a light and have my phone charging while I'm playing music, or whatever, and have the other one safely charging inside the shop, and I'm not worried about whether or not it's going to be dead tomorrow, or have to mentally keep track of how much juice is in it, because I know if it's not the one that I'm currently using, it's full because I let it charge overnight. Done deal. Similarly, when I set up the solar, regardless of whether it takes one day or two, the one that's charging is the one that's charging. So I know that the other one is the one that I'm using, and I don't have to really worry about the idea of being inconvenienced by not having access to portable power. Again, not 100% sure that Jackery doesn't do pass-through. Same with Blue Eddy. I think Blue Eddy does do pass-through, but I don't think they have a unit that is around the $500 mark. So these are rough comparisons to products that I have not personally used, but I hear a lot about. So take that with a grain of salt. I just didn't want that inconvenience of not having a unit that I can use while I have a unit that's charging. I like the idea of being able to swap around, and it's kind of a excessive, to some degree, way of having consistent power, but it allows me to have more consistent power, and it allows me to minimize actual downtime of utilizing the unit. That's how I feel about it anyway. I like the setup that I have. Plus, these units, actually, I have it sitting right next to me. Super small. I want to say this thing is like 10 pounds. And each unit has a 300 watt pure sine wave inverter, and has a 60 amp hour. They, for whatever reason, label it as 60,000 milliamps. I think that's a stupid concept. But anyway, 60 amp hour battery that's built into it, and it can charge off of up to 24 volts. Actually, that being said, I could probably pull off splitting two. That brings up another possible concept that I want to test out, taking two solar panels that is 200 watts, and basically trying to, I don't want to say split them, but merge them into the port with some kind of adapter of some sort to see if it'll take power from both units simultaneously. It would not surprise me, since it says it can handle a 24 volts DC input. At least that's what I think I'm reading here. I could be wrong. I could be totally reading this wrong. Anyway, that's the unit. Like I said, about 10 pounds. So that's another nice feature in comparison to units like the Jackery and Blue Eddy. They're lightweight. And between the two units, I have 120 amp hours. So that seems like a pretty decent setup to me, at least for a portable setup. You know, I intend on setting up the battery bank when I do build it in the bus. I'm probably going to have over 300 amp hours because that's what makes the most sense to me. But yet and still, you know, I have 120, which in most cases, that's what the average person tends to put in their smaller vehicle, like like for a van or for SUV or truck or whatever. The average YouTuber that I've followed that does stuff like this in general has been having roughly 100 amp hours. Same goes with people who get the Battleborn batteries and whatnot. They usually have 100 amp hour batteries that they have set up in their solar setup. So I have 120 right now that's portable, and it cost me a total of $300. I'm not going to complain about that. But yeah, anyway, I kind of got off into excess tangents about the device, which is fine because it gives you guys more information in general, but it also goes a little outside of what I was bringing up the video to say anyway. So all of that being said, that's the setup that I tested out today. You saw the video footage of me actually showing that it was working. So again, I'm not sure how well it was working. At some point in time, I'll probably get some kind of a meter that can give me a readout of that. I do actually have, now that I think about it, I do have an MPPT, so I should see if that unit, I got one of the lower end Victrons. I want to say it was a 30 amp, but I do have that on hand. So I need to find out if that will give me that information. And if it does give me that information, I'll probably hook it up and see what it says as far as the input is concerned. Because that'll give me a general idea of, you know, I crunch the numbers, I can find out how long it'll roughly take me to charge one of these things off of solar versus plugging it into the wall. Anyway, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to bring up today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me babble on about this project. Thank you for caring about this project and actually following these videos. I appreciate you guys. I really hope that you stick around to see how this goes and where all this goes, because hopefully by next week I will have a few more specifics in place so I can feel more comfortable about the overall process that I'm doing with the bus as of right now. Given the timeline of things in general, which specifically include the upcoming surgery that had been postponed, unfortunately, multiple times. Anyway, I think it's probably going to be the smartest thing to get everything set up in general now and then come back to the floor later. It was always in my plan to have a modular enough setup to where I could access the floor to remodel the floor later anyway, but not because I wanted to remodel the floor later. It was more so along the lines of, if I down the line end up wanting to get a different bus, whether it be bigger, other features that I'm looking for, whatever, or this one, I just age out of it and it's no longer functional for me or functional in general. If I reach that point where the cost to repair it is not worth it, then I can quite literally, just like moving out of a regular house, take my stuff out of here, move it into another one after I remove the seats out of that other one, and and do the floors and whatnot if I have to on that one, and be done with it. And if it is a situation where I get to part with this one while it's still functional, then that leaves a shell of a bus with the floors already done for the next person who might want it. So a concept that I feel is a better resale value of the bus in and of itself is also what I factored into that whole concept. But anyway, another tangent, like I usually do. All that said, I'm happy with how things are going in general, even though the timeline is way behind where I wanted to be. If I was not dealing with my health issues, I would have had this done in like 3 months or less. We can keep it real. Because that's just the way that I function, or have functioned. Getting into this new normal has been kind of weird with all of that. But before I get into a new tangent and make this video any longer, I'm going to let you guys go, because I know how I am and I know how much I talk. Anyway, thanks for being here again. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for caring and paying attention to all this craziness. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.